just told you, I repeated it about a week later in an interview that I reported in the Belfast Telegraph, which is the kind of main newspaper in Belfast. And within a week, the joke was actually being attributed to me. And the Lord Mayor of Belfast said, I'm going to use that, I'm going to use that. This one is called the insulin pen. And it's, I told you earlier on that I went into my retirement with diabetes and the other disease. And this one, the insulin pen diabetes, is complaining that Parkinson's is kind of hogging the limelight. Starstruck by Parkinson's, its visible shape and public profile, ludicrously enthralled to the cheap glamour of hallucinations. Have you forgotten me? You're not so old, Novomix 30 pen. Once you thought me more precious than a hip flask, lighter than loose change, a true blood brother. You declared me at international airports and stored me in cool places, carried me, God knows why, on hunger trips to that strip of Cave Hill Road with the off-license and the 6 takeaways. You called it death row. And what of the dash to hospital, the coke binges, the mad, unslavable thirst? I claim you for diabetes. We got you first. I mentioned hallucinations there. The most interesting thing to me about Parkinson's were the side effects of some of the medication, specifically the tablet which caused hallucinations. And I wondered what form these were going to take. They take the form of me imagining, for example, that there's somebody at my shoulder all the time, just somewhere me on that there's somebody sitting in the chair beside me at, in a restaurant or on a bus. It's like when you were a child and you woke up in the middle of the night and you looked at the back of the door and there was a bathrobe or something hanging on the back of the door, and for a moment it looked like something more sinister. It's hallucinations in that form, and it's got to the point where I'm joking about these as well. It's you told me jokes. I've got a friend in Belfast who also suffers from it, and every time we meet, we shake hands, and say, "Shake, partner, shake." The jokes about this are shaking jokes. This one is about taking it says, I take my hallucinations for a walk once a day at the waterworks. That is to say, I assume they accompany me. Acres of fresh air, some trees, a lake, plenty of space to practice disappearing. Would the dogs detect an aura or take a snarl at the invisible? I expected not. I expected right. Park life has its own concerns. The heron gathers north around him like a monk's habit and appears to sleep. The joggers against oblivion are already flat out on a gasping break. Only the terrier stupid fucker draws near and growls, then turns to the more urgent business of his life, chasing a ball for the angriest man in Ireland. I wondered whether I should phone the NSPCA, but the stupid fucker seemed to be enjoying himself. He seemed to accept that as his name for a start. and his master was sort of throwing the tennis ball. He said, "Oh, I'm just stupid fucker." Away he went. I expect that there are dogs called stupid fucker in every park in Ireland. This one is called a bog cotton. Bog cotton is a sort of white-haired Flowers, not the right term, I suppose, plant that grows in bogland. And this is one of the elegies for my father, Paul Cotton. They have the look of being born old, thinning elders among the heather, trembling in every wind. My father turns 80 the spring before my 13th birthday. When I feed him porridge, he takes his cap off. His hair, as it has been all my life, is white, pure white. I'm very conscious that I'm here sort of publicising this book that Wake Forest published. But in fact, I haven't been reading anything from it. The next book and the book after that. I always had the experience of 9 years between books. It took me 9 years always to get a book of poems together. And then the period between the third and the fourth was 14 years. But once I started taking the medication, for some reason or other, there was a kind of burst of creativity. And I found myself writing poems more or less every day. And this went on for 2 years, and in fact, it's still going on. So, not much more than 2 years after the previous book. I've got this book coming next year, and I've already got the book after that. You'll be glad to know, Jeff. I've already got the book after that, ready to send out to the publisher. So at readings, you tend to read your more recent poems. If you've got recent poems, rather than going back. But I'm going to go back a bit here now. This one, is called Landscape. Landscape of figures. And the background for most of these poems is County Fermanagh in the north of Ireland. And they're practically all about what it is doing. So this one, I think it explains itself. It was something I saw from a bus window, and it struck me as very mysterious, and it left me speculating for days and trying to imagine the significance of what I'd just seen. Landscape of figures. What haunts me is a farmhouse among trees, seen from a bus window. A girl with a suitcase climbing a long hill, and a woman waiting. The time it took the bus to reach and pass the lane's entrance, nothing was settled. The girl still climbing, and the woman still on the long hill's summit. Men were not present, neither in the fields that sloped from hedges, nor beyond the wall that marked the yard's limits. Was there sign of hands or hands working? No sight that might have softened on the eye the seam's relentlessness. Nothing had happened, and yet the minute spoke, and the seam spoke, and the silence, and oppressed as air does, loading for a storm's release. All lanes and houses secretive from trees, and gaunt hills' jawlines, turned my thoughts again to that day's journey, and the thing I saw and could not fathom. Struck with the same dread, I seemed to share in sense, not detail, what was heavy there. Sadness of dim spaces, obscure lives, ends and beginnings, such extremities. I'm going to finish with some parodies of haiku. Inspired by that Wendy cover on the one by John Cooper Clarke. On Rude. It's called The Farmyard Haiku. speaker is farmyard preacher. I don't have to tell you what they are, you'll be able to identify them. Tight arse water, I astound you with the perfection of my eggs. Disgruntled in the muck, we will never make music. Who gives a fuck? I can't tell you how long it took me to get the word disgruntled into a poem about a pig. I'm Peggy and I'm choosy. We are the wives' favourites. She calls us by name. What a plotted couple. We need subtitles even among ourselves. This gander has standards. You won't catch me riding my wives in the street. Two more. I am with Auntie Rooster. Oversexed? I'll say. By the way, you're next. And the last one is the bull. Balls the size of mine can only be compared to balls the size of mine.